What's up, guys? It's Jeremy, and we're back on the couch again. So we are once again going to touch on the Hussein Farhat Greg Doucette controversy. And I want this to be the last video I make on it, and the last video you'll ever need on it. I have gone through, I have corrected to the best of my ability the entire timeline of what has happened from over a year ago till now. So whether you're someone who you're just sitting around wondering what on earth is going on with the fitness industry, why is everyone so hyper fixated on this situation going on with Greg and Hussein, and this weird comment Greg made on an Instagram post which led to a video, or if you've been here from the very beginning since Hussein's original transformation, this video is for you. So this all started, well, for Hussein, with his 3-year transformation and uploading a video about it, which then prompted this video from Greg. Gyno and 60 pounds in 2 years, natty.
Coach Greg, in today's video, we're doing a natty or not. A guy's name is Hussein Farhat.
And if you guys have been watching this situation for a while, you would know that one of the biggest things, especially when Hussein first came into the fitness industry and has been rearing its head ever since, people don't believe he's natty. People believe he's a fake natty, including in this video, Coach Greg.
What better way than to pull over the stringer and see, does he have any gynecomastia around the nipple? And so if we zoom in closer than last time, you can clearly see an indentation surrounding the nipple. That is known as gyno. And so he clearly has gyno in this photo. I would love to see him prove us wrong. I want to believe that this guy is natural, but based on the evidence, the fact that he has gyno, the fact that he's put on almost 60 pounds of muscle in 2.5 years while being shredded, having striations in the chest, veins, and so on, it's simply too hard to believe.
And just like that, the incident that began all of this has taken place. Greg Doucette has made a natty or not on Hussein Farhat, where he pretty definitively states that he finds him to be unnatty, including pointing out that he seems to have gyno, and the amount of weight he put on and the amount of time he did it seemed suspicious, which prompted Hussein to leave this comment. Challenge accepted, Greg. I've got nothing to hide. I'll get you that blood work. Following the natty or not came this video. I still think you're a fake natty, Hussein Farhat. So not much in terms of evidence really came out in this video. This isn't necessarily the video where blood work is given or discussed. This is just a video of Greg and Hussein hitting a workout together, having conversations about Hussein's transformation, but Greg definitely had some interesting reactions to Hussein discussing his transformation. Here you go.
We're going to go through a workout and we're going to see, do I change my mind? Tell us, how did you put on so much muscle natural?
I just ate a lot, trained hard. Been doing this for 2.5 years now. And I went from 120-ish pounds, and I'm 182, 83 now.
So you went from around 120 to 180, so about 60 pounds of muscle in about 2.5 years.
As Hussein is discussing how much weight he put on in 2 years, Greg is a bit suspicious, to say the least. He's definitely showing concern that these numbers are that of someone who probably took something to get there. At this point in the timeline, Greg very much still believes Hussein to be a fake natty. So, like I said, this video is mostly just them hitting a workout together, and after the fact, Hussein went on to comment on this video. Had fun spasming lateral raises, he probably meant spamming, with you, bro. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on my blood work, and for you to admit that I'm more natural than last time. So, that's the second video Greg has made on Hussein, and this time with Hussein. And this is the second time Hussein has left a comment on a video about him made by Greg Doucette. This time pretty definitively saying that Greg is going to receive blood work and will hopefully give an opinion on it, proving once and for all, at least Hussein is hoping, that he is natural. Then came the third video in Greg's series on Hussein, posing with fake natty Hussein Farhat. So, as you can see, this is Greg's third video and second collab with Hussein. And I think this is where a lot of people start to have issue with it. So, we haven't gotten there yet, but as you will come to find out, Hussein is a part owner of Harder Than Last Time Supplements, Coach Greg's supplement company. So, all of these videos on Hussein, plus all of these collabs, after calling him a fake natty, have people suspicious that Greg chose to basically give Hussein a bunch of clout before making him a part-time owner of Harder Than Last Time. Basically building Hussein's audience by getting all these eyes on him and then letting him join the company. Whether or not that's the case is for you to decide for yourself. Obviously, we have no way to prove that that's really why Greg ever started a natty not on Hussein. But back to the topic at hand. This is the third video on Hussein, and it is a follow-up to the last video, where after their workout, Greg gives Hussein posing tips, walks him through a pose down, and they kind of just talk and go through poses. So there's not much to glean out of this one, but the next video is where things start to get a little more interesting. This proves it. Hussein Farhat's blood work exposed.
Coach Greg, in today's video, we're going to be going over Hussein Farhat's blood work in order to determine, is the guy a fake natty after all? 60 pounds of muscle that he added in 2.5 years. Not his entire life, but 2.5 years. And I'm telling you, there's no way any natural in the world is going to gain that much muscle in 2.5 years.
And right out the gate, as you can see, Coach Greg is once again stating what he's been stating since the first video, that this is a very hard transformation to believe could have taken place naturally. And I think that's why a lot of people struggle to believe that Hussein is natural. Because even Coach Greg, who kind of started this whole thing by making the original natty or not, could not fathom that this transformation could have been natural. But let's see what he says as he gets into the blood work.
Just because you have gyno, it doesn't guarantee that you're on testosterone.
I've actually always had like puffy nipples. I don't know what to call them. I don't know what they are. I'm gonna pull up a picture of me 2 years old over here. I was maybe 1 or 2 years old. You can clearly see there's something going on.
And so you can see, as a child, even at 2 years of age, he does have the puffy nipples. And so it is obvious to me that the gyno was formed before he was a teenager. If he had no gyno whatsoever and then suddenly got it at the age of 19, well, to me, that would be obvious. And if we look at his blood work, it appears that he has high aromatase expression. He has naturally got a lot of estrogen. And so there are, in fact, some unfortunate people out there that develop gyno even if they're natural.
Pull up a picture over here. I was maybe 15, 16. You're gonna see as well, maybe I was born with gyno, I don't know what it is.
And so at 15 years of age, he's just starting to go through puberty. You can see he already has those puffy nipples. They're already there. And so I think he's defended his point, at least in my opinion, that he doesn't in fact have gyno from using steroids. Doesn't mean he's never used steroids, doesn't mean he's never used SARMs, but at least it's a plausible explanation to explain his gyno.
So at this point, there really hasn't been much discussion in terms of blood work. There's been a lot of explaining of his gyno and how it probably and more than likely was not caused by any steroids or performance enhancing drugs, but instead something he was born with. But as Greg points out, that doesn't necessarily mean he's never used anything. But here's the thing, we can't prove it, right? We can't prove that he's ever taken anything. But what Greg is getting at here is that he can at least prove that the gyno that people notice on Hussein is more than likely not caused by any previous use of PEDs.
But it's now the moment of truth. what are we going to see? And so the first thing I noticed is creatinine levels are through the roof. Creatinine is a measure of kidney function. Are his kidneys functioning healthier than last time? Now remember, people who abuse steroids, it's often harmful on the kidneys. And so if you have elevated creatinine levels, there's a good chance that you have experienced some form of damage and it's from taking steroids. And his levels are through the roof. It's not proof that he's taking anything, but it's at least something to keep an eye on. But the good news is there's only his creatinine levels that are out of the ref range during that general biochemistry. All other values are in the green. And so if he were in fact on steroids, he most likely would have something else out of the reference range. Next, creatine kinase. We can see it's through the roof. It's 449. It's not a yellow dot, it's a red warning sign. What is going on? Does he have rhabdomyolysis? We don't know. Well, here's the thing. That is a measure of muscle damage. The guy goes to the gym and does nearly every set to failure. I was at the gym talking to him. Hey, how many sets do you do to failure? Pretty much all of them. And so do you not think that's going to cause some muscle damage? And from personal experience, mine is always at least that high or even greater. I've had it over 2,000. And so that is just a normal occurrence from training harder than last time. Now, next up, let us see what are his IGF-1 levels. 35, exactly right down in the middle, in the green. And so essentially 100% normal. If this guy were taking MK677 growth hormone and so on, it wouldn't be in the norm. It would be way higher. And so because of that, we can conclude there ain't no MK677. What about orals? Look at his AST and ALT. It's in the normal, in the green. This guy appears he's not even drinking alcohol. And so he's not on orals, he's not on MK677. What else could he be on? Well, in terms of, perhaps he just hopped off. He stopped about a week ago. The albumin levels are also in the green. And so that is more a measure of long-term damage to the liver. And next, FSH and LH, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. When you're on performance enhancing drugs, they crash. Your body no longer needs to produce testosterone. Think of it, you're getting it from an exogenous source, and so your balls, they go on vacation. They shrink down. And so it's not an OnlyFans channel, and so I'm not going to have him send me a picture of his downstairs. But because of the results, I'm going to say they're of normal size.
Okay, and that was a pretty big stretch of just Greg talking from that video. But I wanted him and his expertise in the matter speak for itself and also just his opinion on it. So it's important to keep in mind right now that this is before Hussein is part of his company. This is still just Greg talking about someone he believed to be a fake natural that he challenged to give me your blood work and I will judge if you're natural or not. And Hussein, according to Greg in the video, got tested the next day and sent him the results. And this is what Greg found. That by all markers in his opinion, he believed Hussein to be natural. Whether or not you agree with that is up to you. But this is just how things played out in the timeline. So at this point in time, Hussein is not part of Greg's company. But we see a change in Greg's opinion on Hussein, and he's slowly starting to decide that Hussein has proven himself, in Greg's eyes, to be a natural. The next video Greg would make on Hussein is how did he cover it up? So, this video is not all that important in the grand scheme of things. It's pretty much just Greg defending his previous video and explaining more on Hussein's blood work, pretty much covering the same things he did before. But pretty much from this video on for almost a year up until recently, the drama around Hussein pretty well kept to just Hussein's Instagram and his YouTube comments. It wasn't something Greg was consistently making videos on anymore. Now, he was just making videos such as these. Coaching Hussein Farhat to his first show. Hussein Farhat competes in his first bodybuilding show. Peak week plan. Hussein Farhat disappointed everyone. As you guys can see, these videos are completely different to anything that previously followed them. We went from Greg doubting Hussein's natty status to believing he proved himself and choosing to coach him into his first bodybuilding show, of which he chose to compete in multiple different divisions and even won the overall in multiple of them. And Greg doing his typical clickbait thing, the one called Hussein Disappoint Everyone, is just that Hussein didn't win the overall in one or two of the shows he took part in. But for the most part, any and all of the drama has stopped. And now it's just Hussein has joined as a part owner of Harder Than Last Time, and Coach Greg is training him for a bodybuilding show that he ultimately did pretty well in. So, why is he and Greg the topic of one of the biggest fitness controversies in years, let alone 2025? The Anabolic Stick, who made two videos, one about Hussein and Greg, and one claiming that Greg had intentions to sue him. So I'm not going to put in any clips from the Anabolic Sticks videos, nor Hussein or Greg's responses to them. But I put them in here as part of the timeline only to show that yet again the stage has been set for people to have their eyes on Hussein and the topic of if he is natty or not. This time, he's now a part-time owner than Harder Than Last Time Supplements. So him and Greg are pushing pretty hard to defend his honor, even going as far as to multiple times state that anyone anywhere can randomly drug test Hussein, and if he fails, they will win a prize. It was, I believe, at one point 10,000. I think it was raised to 100,000. I do believe it is up to 500,000 now at the point of this recording. But they started to push very hard back against the narrative that Hussein was a fake natty after these videos made by the Anabolic Stick. Next in the timeline comes a probably now regretted choice made by Jeff Nippard, where he made a video that included Hussein Farhat. Jeff included Hussein in a video called How to Look Enhanced Without Steroids. So the basic premise of this video that Jeff put out isn't really what sparked any controversy or why including Hussein was a mistake. The basic premise was just that he took many people from the fitness industry, those who claimed to be natty and some who were unnatty, and put them before basically a judge panel, but just a bunch of people who then gave their opinion on a scale of who they believed to be, from natty to possibly enhanced. And then those who were claimed to be more than likely enhanced were randomly drug tested, and one of those happened to be Hussein, where Jeff tested him and even stuck out his neck that for him, saying that he passed the test, and Jeff believed him to be natural. So you're probably wondering at this point in the timeline, why is Greg and Hussein caught in a controversy? Yeah, sure, people have been worried and maybe overly concerned with Hussein's natty status, but why is there a controversy surrounding them? Well, the following comment that was left on an Instagram post by Greg Doucette is why. Turns out that Hussein was actually on a 16-month cycle when he first joined the gym, involving a lot of steroids as well as MK677, and then hopped off and has a certain type of polymorphism that allows him to keep all of his gains. I was just as shocked as everyone, I'm sure. Once this video comes out, but I was not part of it. I did not know that he had done this for his first 16 months of his lifting career. So, out of the blue, Greg seemingly betrayed Hussein, his part owner of his supplement company. Why? for a few hours, people got a chance to make videos on this comment, voice their opinion on this comment. There was a lot of, I knew it. I knew it. He's a fake natty. You've been defending him all this time. We told you so. And then Hussein dropped the video of his own. The video Greg is referring to in his comment. Hussein drops a video called Coming Out, the Truth. And with this video comes the controversy that this video has been waiting up to.
So we're coming clean. I don't know how else to start off this video. This was a really hard one to do, honestly, which is why I have Greg here with me to help me, navigate this, explain everything to you guys, explain this whole drama, explain what I've done and what I regret doing.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to be here to explain exactly the science of everything that went down and to say that, HLT supplements, we still support Hussein despite the fact that he lied in the past. And so, I'm just going to let him explain everything that he's done, and I'm here to support.
Everything was planned from day one. I decided to hop on here. It was a small cycle, 300 EQ, 300 tests, 300 Masterone, a little bit of Anavar and MK as well. And I did this for 16 months. I planned everything all along because I knew I was gonna, Greg was gonna make a video on me at some point. So as soon as it was the 16-month line, I hopped off and, reached out to Greg a couple months later. So it doesn't show on the blood work essentially.
So the video on Hussein's channel goes on like this for a while. From them explaining what he took, from claiming that he has some form of polymorphism that causes him to retain his gains, and that, as you just seen in that last clip, it was supposedly planned from day one, that he always intended on taking it, hopping off, keeping his gains, and grabbing the attention of one Greg Doucette. And then comes the part of the video without Greg, a part of the video that has sparked a lot of the controversy I have personally seen online since then.
I mean, I think people can now move on knowing that you are a fake natty after all.
Yeah.
What else is there to say? That's it.
But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Love y'all, and we'll see you next time. Peace. Alright, so everything you just saw in the last video with Greg was a joke. It was planned to be a video where me and Greg make fun of everyone that's saying that I'm not natural, because it just doesn't make sense, alright? That was the whole point. We're talking about polymorphisms. We're talking about me being on gear for 16 months and hopping off and keeping all the gains. It doesn't work that way and doesn't make sense. And the whole point was to show how dumb it is by us being extremely serious the whole time to just make fun of the people that are talking about it. And honestly, I feel like they're getting paid to make videos on me and saying that I'm not natural. I've tried everything in my power to show that I'm a lifetime natural. So I'll look into this camera and say, I've never done any sort of steroids, I've never done any SARMs, any peptides, nothing.
And that part right there, where the video switches from Greg and Hussein spending 10-15 minutes talking about how Hussein wasn't natty and being pretty serious about it, jumping to all of a sudden Hussein is alone in his recording studio, claiming it all to be a joke, that it was all just a joke to make everyone who's ever said he's not natty, like, here's everything you've ever said. Do you actually hear yourselves? Do you hear how crazy you sound? That's the whole point of the video. And that's where I see the biggest point of controversy with this video, and the biggest takeaway that most people seem to think, which is a lot of people believe that Greg's comment was sincere, that they were actually going to come out and end the drama by just full on coming out and saying, look, here's what he took. Like, you guys were right. Let's stop arguing about it. Let's get off the topic. And then here comes the front half of the video, completely dedicated to, you guys were right. Here's everything he took. This is how it works. Very sincere. And all of a sudden it cuts to Hussein backtracking on all of it. And so a lot of people, and this is where the controversy comes in. This is the controversy. A lot of people think that Greg and Hussein wanted to come out and be honest and end the not natty drama around him by just coming out and telling the truth. They seen the responses, the response videos, the comments left on Greg's comments, all of it, and backtracked out of it. Hussein added his little all by himself, it was a joke part to his video, and then Greg made his own response video to the video the next day, claiming that yes, it was indeed a joke. And so that is the controversy going around for those who don't know. And this is the timeline of how we've got here. What started off as Coach Greg making a video on whether or not he found this random up-and-coming kid Hussein Farhat natty or not, has now led to him making a post, adding more drama, stirring the pot more, and then in typical Coach Greg fashion, any and all videos he's making on the topic, and even Hussein's video, devolves into an ad for Turkesterone or for harder and last time supplements, and it's ticking people off because it feels like they have taken a topic that a lot of people are genuinely, concerned on, and just turning it into an ad. They're just playing around. They don't take it seriously, and that's why people are upset. Now, in my personal opinion, whether or not someone is natural does not personally affect you. But if you're going to claim natty, you don't play around with it in this way. I think it was a very stupid decision being made, and that's why a lot of people are upset. And that is why it's a very controversial thing that has happened in the fitness industry that a lot of people are upset with. Because whether or not Hussein is natural, to downplay it and to turn it into this big publicity stunt for his company, that's what ticks everyone off. And as someone who is a harder than last time sponsored athlete, even I don't understand why they made this move, what they were thinking. I would love to hear Eric Janicki's opinion on it and what he feels on it, because he's also a part owner. He is highly attached to this. I'd love to hear what he thinks of this little publicity stunt. If he was in on it, if he knew it was coming, anything like that, his opinion on it. But my opinion on it, whether or not Hussein is natural does not matter to me. Because simply put, Greg has said in videos, Hussein wasn't taking harder than last time supplements when he did his transformation. So him being a part-time owner and an athlete, they aren't claiming that his results have come from Turkesterone or anything. So I would not say they're trying to use him to sell them in, that way, in a dishonest way. But it's the constant defending him, making videos about him, defending him, making a big deal out of it by constantly asking people to randomly drug test him. And if you win, if you catch him, if he's actually a fake natty, if he fails the drug test, he'll pay you, $500,000. You're putting all these eyes on it. And then you come out after you've put all these eyes on it and people are genuinely like, hey, I think you're using this fake natural to sell your supplements. And then you come out and say, yeah, you were right. He's been a fake natural this whole time. And then you make videos saying, we were crowning on you. You see how stupid you sound all the time? It was a dumb move. And there are a lot of people other than just Greg, Hussein, and Eric tied to harder than last time. I'm tied to harder than last time. My self-image, right? What people think of me and this channel could be harmed by me being attached to harder than last time. And there are people who actually make money. Let's be honest, I don't make crap because I don't have a platform yet. No one watches these videos. So I don't make anything with my discount code or with my link. I've made a whole $40 in the past 3 months as a harder than last time sponsored athlete. But there are people who this is their bread and butter. This will make or break their bank account, their finances. This is, doing social media and using it to promote harder than last time supplements is how they make money, or it's a good chunk of it. And choosing to do a stupid publicity stunt like this when you have hundreds, if not thousands of athletes tied to your business, and now you're not just harming your brand, you're harming theirs. Because people are going to think that I'm a dishonest snake salesman, or that other athletes are pieces of crap. Because you, Greg, Hussein, made a stupid decision, in my personal opinion. I'm very fortunate. I don't make enough. You could see this video, Greg, Hussein, and choose that you don't want me as an athlete. And that's fine. Because I don't make enough doing it for that to hurt me. for this to hurt me. But by hurting your own brand, by hurting what people think of the brand with this stunt, you have hurt other people's finances, not just your own. You've hurt other people's image, not just your own. I think that's all I have to say on it. Guys, this was the complete timeline to my knowledge and to my research of how we ended up here in this situation with Greg and Hussein. And I hope you enjoyed the video. It's not my normal video. This is typically a workout channel. I'm currently on my journey to 160 because I plan on participating in the Summer Sweatathon bodybuilding competition next year. For those who are maybe new to the channel, this is the first channel video you've ever watched. I used to be 300 pounds. I made my way down to 180. When COVID hit, I went back up to about 250 while the gyms were closed, and I just didn't have any good dieting food to eat. I was living with my parents. I got to eat what they brought home while they were out for work, if they could work at the time of the good old Penny D. But after making my way back up to 250, I have made my way back down into the low 200s to upper 190s, and I kind of float around there typically. And the goal right now is to get down to 160 for next year's Summer Sweatathon. So in total, I've lost 170 pounds if you do the math of like going from 300 to 180 and then going from 150 back down to 200-ish. You're looking at about 170 pounds lost, and I plan on losing approximately 40 more. So that is what this channel is typically about, is the documentation of that journey. And if that interests you in any way, shape, or form, it's more of a Sam Slick style, come with me to a workout, watch me hit the workout. I interact with you guys. There's a car talk typically after the workout, sometimes before. But that is what the channel normally is. But I felt the need to touch on this now twice as a harder than last time sponsored athlete, because I think Greg and Hussein need to understand, even though I'm not personally someone who was hit hard by this, that this does affect more than just them. And I hope they see this video, and I hope they can see like where people are coming from. They can think people are stupid for being concerned with Hussein's 90 stats all they want, but Greg has to understand he started it. Greg, if you're watching this, you put the eyes on Hussein, and you put everyone's concern on if he's natty or not, and even you yourself seemed pretty convinced that he wasn't, and that his transformation was not achievable naturally. And then you flip-flopped on it, and there are a lot of people who are questioning your integrity because of that. At the end of the day, you guys brought this upon yourself, and now you've brought it upon your own company, which has more than just you attached to it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I love you guys. Thanks for watching.